Yo, what's happening, world? Name's Raheem Flowers, and I decided to watch that interview with Troy Ave. Initially, my first introduction to Troy Ave was when he was on Hot 97 and he was calling Kendrick Lamar and Kanye West weirdo. And then as time progressed, I seen him as this cocky motherfucker from New York, flapping his gums, looking like that fat kid from Lean On Me and one of Bishop's homies from Juice. That guy, that actor. And, you know, as time progressed, he and Joey, they had been bumping heads. He badmouthed Steez. So I saw him as just one of these niggas who just had no regard for human life whatsoever. And he really didn't believe in the back of his mind what he was doing wasn't fucked up. Even though he did say a sentiment that I do share about no rules of reaction, I'm like, come on, dude. Even though that's true, there's always going to be, by that admission, you're going to have to answer for that shit. But he did answer for it in that new Breakfast Club interview, and I have a newfound respect for Troy Ave. I wouldn't even said this last year, definitely wouldn't have said this 2016, but I'm saying it now in 2018. And I think about what I even said retrospectively about Troy Ave when I spoke about how if I saw Troy Ave, I would fuck him up on sight if that was one of my loved ones and whatnot. I was a little younger. I was 23 going on 24. Now I'm 25 going on 26. And I look at life through a different lens now. Both metaphorically and literally since my glasses. Anywho, we all know that Lenny did not show up to the Breakfast Club. Isn't it funny how he prides himself on keeping that same energy like, you know, he did on the Donkey of the Day? Then he managed to make a cop-out when somebody on one of the callers spoke to him and said how he bitched out. And Charlamagne's retort was how he didn't want to be around that energy, even though his job as a journalist is to hear that other person out. You can't speak about being objective, and then when your retort to that is, well, the best thing to do is stay away from that energy. Nah, Lenny, you were deflecting. Because Taxstone is your man, and Taxstone has problems with Troy Ave. You know, Taxstone admitted that he was an accomplice. And now he's answering for it. He's begging the judge. Look at that. I also want to talk briefly about the Black Panther movie. I'm digging some of the soundtracks. I mean, I've heard Kendrick spit better, but, you know, I can't complain about it. In addition to that, people are speaking, like, because we emphasize so much on race in this era, now that you have a movie like Black Panther coming out, they're making it out to be, oh man, this is like the first movie to come out on theater, or this is like the most prominent one to come out in theater. Well, we had Blade, we had Steel with Shaq. Shout out to Shaq. Underrated as a rapper. We had what's that movie with one of the Wayne brothers? You know what I'm talking about. Can't think of it right now. And, you know, we had other shows, even if we even think back, series like Static Shock, which was an incredibly underrated show that people do not like to talk about. God damn it. But yeah, I mean, it brings up a discussion about race and whatnot. I mean, just the movie itself and what it seems like it stood for in the trailers. But I'm gonna have to see that for myself to give a fair and honest assessment. But then, speaking of race and discussions, Jared Taylor and Tariq Nasheed going debating. See, I'm not even going to get too deep into that because it's already been well established that Tariq is a shitty debater. It's just what it is. And Jared Taylor, This is why I like to have my receipts, as Tariq likes to say. You have to have your receipts, especially when you deal with these white men. You can't go into a debate and then you only give general and vague responses and parts of history. You can't just give conjectures, incomplete facts, and think that you're gonna win against somebody like Jared Taylor. Nah, it doesn't work like that. I mean, I even heard Sergeant Willie P, SWP, he had his assessment about that. And he was talking about, well, if you think about white supremacy, it's not this all-powerful entity, even though I've been saying this. You treat white supremacy like the end-all, be-all, Tariq. But, and I'll be honest, I even thought that that's what Sarge was doing. I'll be honest with you. I'm gonna keep it real. But, you know, I guess I have to listen and I have to hear a person out more before I truly understand how they think fundamentally. But, anywho, Sarge was basically saying how you just got to look at things from a generational aspect. It's just like it's just like if somebody who comes from an abusive household, you can't expect that cycle to just be broken just like that, especially when it's perpetuated. That's how you got to look at white supremacy. When you have these laws like Jim Crow, and then when you think about the mass incarceration of black men in prison, and then all Tariq had, see, when Tariq mentioned the Asians, he made a mistake. You know? The whole idea of IQ is too arbitrary. That's why I don't even go by that shit. It's just like when I was talking to a lady friend of mine, and the whole women are more mature than men. I mean, it's like, who created it? Is this something that's empirical? Is this something that has consistency in it? Because that is the point. And Tariq has already shown how inconsistent. I mean, to me, that's cognitive dissonance in its finest when Tariq could talk about Melanoid Nation and then have a Crispy Puppet series. Tariq can have a Coon Train Awards. Tariq can come at black people. You know, the way he came at Jesse Lee Peterson. But he will never come at Jared Taylor like that. No. Instead, he comes to Jared Taylor like some ignorant ass nigga who don't know shit, but he thinks he knows what he's talking about. He gives all these general knowledge that people already know about, rather than just saying that white supremacy is just one big form of nepotism. That he could have even brought up the Jews in the Holocaust and said, hey, the big Jews had no problem sacrificing the little Jews, so you do have white people out here who are suffering. Yes. I mean, white people are a larger population of black people, so they're liable to be poor white people. They're liable to be a handful of them in prison. But if Tariq knew that he was going to debate Jared Taylor, he should have brought statistics. He should have brought a quantity instead of just making general statements. And just talking about, let me unpack that, and just talking about white supremacy the same way that these preachers talk about the devil. Romanticizing on human nature. Instead of just looking at things from an aspect of maintaining power and everybody wants to reach the apex. And to me, since we're on the subject of me bringing up the Black Panthers earlier, I think that's what's important. Black people need to redefine what it means to be black. This is the perfect time. Troy Ave was showing that in the Breakfast Club interview when he was talking about snitching, and there is no street code is like an oxymoron because the street is the belly of the beast. Shoot, I'm far from a street dude, but I know plenty of dudes out here in Chicago who are about that life, and people who lost their life. People who are dead or in jail. I know. It's not a cool life to live. because I've seen many people fall trying to be street soldiers and have that Willie Lynch mentality. Troy Ave really had me thinking. And that's what's going on right now. That was a showcase of From Niggas to Gods right there. It's funny that it was Charlamagne who actually I discovered that book from. And he wasn't even there to see that and observe that for himself while he was going in on that diatribe during the Donkey of the Day. How are you going to talk about academics? You need to keep that same energy, which Hamsterdemics does. Shout out to College Kid. But you didn't keep that same energy, Lenny. Because if you did, then you would have showed up at the Breakfast Club. You wouldn't have tried to find some sort of out, some sort of weak-ass cop-outs. That's cognitive dissonance at its finest. Whew! We live by cognitive dissonance, confirmation bias, and selective morality. That's the world that we live in today. It's time to reverse that effect, though. Start a new Renaissance era. For the new era, so they won't make so many errors like the ones of yesteryear. Yup, that's all I gotta say for now. Peace out, everybody. One love.